ShopChat.
Well, greetings here from Orlando, Florida at the Labor Day Jamboree, where we are hunkered down awaiting the arrival of a hurricane. But until that hurricane comes, another storm has blown into Orlando. A storm of barbershop harmony in the form of your 5th place international bronze medalists, Midtown. Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
Why don't you sing us in here a little bit?
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the time, every day out.
Well, very good. So glad to have you all here. Let me quickly introduce the members of Midtown. On the far end down there, singing bass is Christian Diaz. And then singing tenor is Nick Gordon. And Nick, on behalf of all tenors, let me just say, we're tired of great singers in other parts jumping onto our part. Okay, so let's just shut off, pal. All right. And then singing lead, is Anthony Fortino, and then baritone is KJ McAlickle Majordigans. So
That's actually really good.
anyway, we're
perfect. Yeah.
well, we're glad to have you guys here. So I think the thing that I heard the most after the contest this year is, wow, where did these guys come from? But actually, you guys have been working very hard for a very long time to put on stage what you put on stage this past summer. Christian, why don't you tell us a little bit about the evolution of Midtown?
Oh, well, I think it goes back to about 4 or 5 years ago when KJ and I met and we knew that we wanted to sing together.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming out of the collegiate contest, and we tried a couple different combinations, and it just never quite ended up working out for whatever reason. But we had an idea of the quartet that we wanted to be in, whether it be identity, song choice, the style, type of singers, so on and so forth. And we tried a couple times. Nick Gordon became available. I had sung with him before in the Sunny Boys, and we called him up and said, "Hey, we understand you've just become available. Would you be interested in trying something out with us?" But we didn't have a lead singer, and he had just met a guy in Voices of Gotham. He just got off tour from the Fun Home, and he was singing tenor. And Nick said, "Hey, I think you need to be singing lead." And it just so happens that I'm in a quartet that doesn't have a lead singer. So why don't you come and try something out with us? And the rest is history.
And about what time was that when that finally all came together?
January,
February of 2018. Yeah.
January, February 2018. So about almost a year and a half before the international contest. Now, Anthony, you had never sung lead before?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct, yeah.
But you had done a lot of lead-like performing, right? Tell us a little bit about your performing background.
Sure. I have a degree in theater and did some professional acting. So before I met these guys, I was on the Broadway national tour of the musical Fun Home, which is the 2015 Tony Award-winning show for Best Musical. And I've done some other regional gigs around the country and things like that, but I got my start in performing through barbershop.
Gotcha. I see. And then, Nick, as I was joking a minute ago, sort of, you actually have, as I know, have sung baritone. Had you ever sung tenor before in a quartet?
Yes, actually, tenor is where I started. When I was 14. But a couple things have changed since then, so it's a little different. But yeah, that's where I started in high school. I was singing tenor, and then as a freshman, then senior year, I switched to baritone and have been singing baritone ever since. And they needed a tenor, so I'm like, all right, I'll try my best.
So now that you've been doing this very well for about a year and a half, do you have a preference really of parts, or do you like them both equally?
No, baritone.
You definitely like baritone. All right.
Baritone is much better.
Well, you're doing an outstanding job on tenor. And KJ, you used to You used to sing in an entertaining quartet, but now you're in Midtown. So how does that feel? You guys obviously were very entertaining this past year. So tell me then, when did you guys start to coalesce the particular songs that you were going to put on stage this past summer?
Yeah, so, well, we first got together to sing for our very first time together in March. I think it was March of 2018. Mm-hmm. And so once we sang together and we kind of found how our voices fit, we wanted to emulate certain things about other quartets that we really looked up to and their sound and their approach. And the one that really kind of we focused on the most was Real Time, just with the effortless singing and the approach they took to vocal production. So we started off just singing Real Time songs, trying to get our sound wrapped around that. Once we started deciding to do our own charts, then we just started tossing around ideas, back and forth, and batted around different things that Anthony felt he could connect with and that his voice fit in with. And as we went, we ended up, by the time International came, we had 7 custom charts that we had commissioned for us, and we had, they were all just for us and tailored to our voices, and so it was really it was awesome being able to have that. Yeah. I think it really helped helped our development and helped us to kind of progress at a level that we wanted to. So
now, at the time you guys all basically said, okay, we're in, let's do this, where was everybody living at that point? Christian, where were you?
I've been down in Florida probably the whole process.
Okay, and Nick, how about you?
Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hoboken, hometown of Frank Sinatra, right? And then Anthony, how about you?
Manhattan, New York.
Okay, and Cage?
I am Cornwall, New York.
Okay, so it was 3 of you were within maybe like a couple of hour or so, and then one long distance member as well. Yeah. So how often as a long distance quartet were you all able to rehearse in the lead up to your first contest, which I guess would have been a fall Mid-Atlantic contest, right?
Actually.
Our first contest was actually two rehearsals after our first meeting. So it was like the beginning of April. I think it was April 6th or something like that. So it was a divisional. It was the Northeastern Division of the Mid-Atlantic District. Yep. Yeah, and we scored a whopping 79.1.
Great score.
That's a great score. Yeah, we were thrilled.
So that would have been the spring of 2018.
Yep.
Then, okay. And then from that point on, then how often are we all able to actually get together to rehearse?
On average,
once a month. We try to get once a month, once every 6 weeks.
Yeah, once a month and a half typically.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it was 2 months, and But.
So for people who didn't know the backstory of Midtown, while it might have seemed like you guys just sort of popped out of nowhere, I mean, here's a quartet that's been working really hard for 1.5 years by the time International rolled around, and working from a 79 to, what did you all score on average, Anthony, at International this year?
90.1.
Yeah. So there's no mystery here, just a lot of hard work, talented musicians working really hard and working really smart. That's fantastic. Now, one of the things that I think you guys have really been innovators in is actually the use of video, like having video releases. So I'm really curious, Nick, whose brainchild was that in the quartet?
I think it was KJ's.
Yeah.
I was really hoping.
No, it was really KJ, and I think it spawned from it was more of hey, there's a new quartet kind of announcement kind of thing, just like a promo thing for our new group. Mm-hmm. And then it was a big hit, and so hey, let's keep doing these as much as we can. And we just found new things to do, and we did. So after Come Back to Me, it was Hark, Herald Angels Sing for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And then Christian had the awesome idea of the Spider-Man video, and then we just released our new one from a Goofy movie called Eye to Eye. And so it's just this thing that we think we're gonna keep doing. It's been amazing.
Well, I think it's really neat too, because as a new quartet, knowing that it's going to be quite a while before you actually get to go to the big stage and people really get to know you, this is a way to kind of circumvent the whole contest way to do that and just find another more creative way to do that. And obviously has been very effective. You all have gained a wonderful following, and people have been able to enjoy your performances before you all were really going to get a chance to hit the show circuit really big. Speaking of which, KJ, after International, what has been the reception like in terms of show offers and things like that for you guys?
Pretty awesome. We're kind of overwhelmed with our schedule that's building up, and so we've been really blessed that we've had several people reach out and inquire about shows. We've booked a lot of shows, and a lot of cool opportunities are lined up. So it's pretty exciting.
Now, Christian, if somebody wants to know how to see you guys in a show, where can they go to find like a schedule or a calendar for Midtown?
Yep. So we're on most social media networks, so Facebook, Instagram. I think we have a Twitter somewhere out there.
We do.
But we do have a website, www.midtownquartet.com, and our show schedule is all on there.
Okay, that's fantastic. So people can follow you guys that way. Now, when people who are in barbershop, and particularly who are quartetters, watch this episode, everybody always wants to know, how do we get to the next level? And you guys jumping from a 79 score to a medalist score in a year and a half, everybody's going to want to know when they watch this, well, how in the world did that happen? So there's obviously a lot of things that go into that kind of improvement. And I was curious if we could just kind of go back down this way and you talk about what comes to your mind as the most important thing that has helped you guys make that move. Cage?
I think for me, I think the most important thing is establishing an identity right away. A lot of quartets, when they start off, they usually don't have the ability or luxury or whatever to just get a bunch of custom charts right away. And so they end up, you cover quartets that you have known and loved over the years, and you sing their songs and you kind of mimic them in some ways, and it takes a while to really start to, but we made it a commitment right at the very beginning we wanted to get our own songs, our own arrangements designed for our voices, and that fit our identity that we wanted to do. And so because we did that, I think right out the gate, it allowed us to find our individual sound, our style, our image, all of it right off the bat, which really helped us to we didn't have bad habits from other songs we had been singing with other quartets. It was all starting from the ground up, and so I think that's probably one of the biggest keys in really getting to the next level as a quartet. So.
And of course, it's one thing to say, well, not every quartet has the luxury of getting a bunch of custom songs right away, but even then it wasn't really right away, was it? I mean, it was like a year and a half of hard work. So there was a lot of planning in this. I think that's one of the big mistakes quartets make, is as soon as they form, they want to dive into competition when there's no reason to do that until you really feel ready to do that. And I think that's one of the big takeaways about hearing your all story, is the patience to just to get ready to that one time. Anthony, what would you add to that as what you think has been a big help?
I agree fully that identity is huge. It's the biggest thing. It's also evidenced by quartets like Rooftop Records, Studio 4. From the second they come out, they're automatically high up because of the fact that they separate themselves. They have something different. Especially nowadays, there's such quality singing. The quality of barbershop singing is through the roof these days. So anymore, like just singing well is not going to separate you from anything. So it's really just about being unique, and that's about having an image, and that's also about song choice as well. So even if you can't buy your own songs or have new custom charts, finding things that are maybe less done, anything to give you something unique.
Right. And Nick, what would you add to that?
Adding to that, I think is all four singers having the same goal. Because that means, like, if we're all gunning for the same thing, we all work as hard, we all come to rehearsal, memorize, we all have ideas about, hey, I was listening to our last rehearsal, I want to do things this way, and I'll bring something different, and being proactive in the quartet. And that means all having the same goals, and I think that's a really big thing.
And I would imagine being a long-distance quartet, that's even more important.
Yeah, because we don't have time to learn notes in rehearsal. Everyone comes prepared, and then we work on musical things and artistic things.
Really? Everyone comes prepared, huh? I'm really glad to hear that, actually. And Christian, what would you add to that?
There's not much to add to that. They all made great points. Maybe, going off of the unique identity and song choice is finding songs that fit your voices. And I think when we were thinking about creating this quartet, we wanted 4 individual singers that could step in front of the quartet and sing a solo, or they just they were comfortable in their sound and they knew their strengths and their weaknesses. And I think that's really important, is just knowing your strengths and your weaknesses and really highlighting those in the song choices.
Sure.
Like, because you want to be unique and you want to be special, but you also don't want to pick a song that's just not in your wheelhouse.
It's not novelty for novelty's sake.
Don't show people what you're not good at.
That's right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So I think I think it's really important for barbershoppers who don't know quartet's backstory, and then they see a quartet have such great immediate success and think, wow, that just came out of nowhere. That's never the case, and certainly not the case with you guys. Well, guys, what's the next thing up? What's the next most important thing you want people out there to know about Midtown coming up?
Oh, we're about to have an album.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're getting ready to, in the next month or so, start recording our first album. And we're going to try to have it wrapped up by mid-October if everything comes together.
Don't quote us on that.
Yeah, don't quote us on that, but we're going to try. And
but perhaps just in time for your holiday shopping.
That's right.
You might be able to get
That's right. Come to a store near you.
That's right. Well, that's
and I think
fantastic.
the other big thing too is the album is a big thing, but we also are really, this next year we've kind of made a commitment to each other to really do a big push for videos. We want to put out a lot more music videos this year. We've got some collaborations already in line that are going to be really, really cool. With some other solo artists, some other quartets, some other groups, and we really want to just do some collaborative projects with a lot of people and just get quartets inspired and feel like they can do the same kind of thing. Like Anthony's dad, his quartet just made an announcement about their new bass, Marshall Crowell, and they made this whole video about it. It was awesome. It was hilarious and it was funny, and then they sang, and it was just really cool, and it was awesome to see them going down that route. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, very good. And one more time, Christian, what's that website that everybody can follow you guys on?
www.midtownquartet.com.
Okay, well, guys, thank you so much on a very busy weekend to take time out to come and be with us. And we have a little shop chat tradition here of a little tag to take us out, and we'd like for you fellas to do that for us today.
All right.
Shop chat.
That's Midtown, and this has been Shop Chat. Thanks so much for joining us.
Shop.